exclusively on the Pod Station.
Welcome, listeners, to a Film Podyssey. The two Marks are back with another review of a recent film. This time, we are reviewing Top Gun Maverick. Yes, he's back, the man in the plane, Tom Cruise. We've just seen it. I'm just going to introduce my co-host, Mr. Mark Pollard. Ali.
Hi, mate.
Hello.
I'm looking at you with pieces of paper, which I assume are notes.
No.
Are they not? That's good.
I didn't do notes because just literally watched
We
it.
have literally watched the film. This is why I was quite surprised. Now, I was doing sneaky little notes on my phone because we were sitting on the back row in the corner before anyone gets on the blower going, oh, that's not what you're allowed to do in the cinema. I was doing it surreptitiously. And, well, I mean, my notes are as detailed as they always are. I've got soundtrack, the bar, goose, day one, the boat, beach, the mission, the escape, end. That's my notes.
I don't know why they bother with a multi-million-pound screenplay, do you? Just give you a call.
That's the in-depth analysis that we're going to be running on.
Well, we're going to be using your notes very shortly, but would you like to tell our listeners how, if they're very interested in how your notes come together, how they can get hold of us?
If you want to listen to our previous notes to see a full display of my note-taking and how that then relays itself into a podcast recording, you can go to all of the major podcast platforms where you can find the 2 Max channel, where we cover Star Trek stuff, movie stuff, TV stuff. Got a load of things on the go at the minute. We've got things in the pipeline, so we're doing a Marvel rewatch. And obviously reviews. We get back on the horse, so to speak. We've got Star Trek stuff that we review as and when we're able to. Check it out there, or go onto the socials. We're at the 2 Marks on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to send an email to voice your opinions, the 2 Marks at thepodstation.co.uk. Mark will read it, he'll tell me what it says, and we'll deal with it accordingly.
What does that mean in reality?
You'll read it and probably, if you might respond, well, no, we won't. We'll probably just discuss it on the next episode.
Yes.
Which is good, because I genuinely want people to get in touch. I mean, we're not here to shoot people because they have an opinion. It's just I don't read my normal emails very well.
No, we would like people to have their opinions.
Yeah.
And we can air them.
That's what we love about the stuff that we review. We like the debate and we like the opinions.
We need more of them.
And the differing ones.
Yeah.
And I think we have some differing ones on this film.
For us?
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. Well, let's go with your notes.
Yeah, we've literally just come out of the cinema from watching Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
Now, I need to put my cards on the table early here and say I'm probably not an impartial watcher of this film. As a qualified drone pilot and owner of a set of aviator sunglasses, I can very much relate to Maverick on a human level and very much as part of my real life as a pilot. And so my biased opinion will always be to defend us pilots in everything that we do. Just as long as you appreciate that position.
And as someone who likes speed...
I've seen you driving.
There you go.
Obviously within the speed limits.
It's not the machine, it's the driver, isn't it?
It is. Is that what you're going to say in court?
Yeah, you're on it. It's not the vehicle, it's the driver. And he's like, you're a bellend.
Go to prison forever.
Do not pass go. This picks up the story. It's not picking up straight from the film.
I'm going to say, looking at the wrinkles on some people's faces, it's a fair while on.
It's about 39 years.
It's
80s.
a long while. The kid's grown up,
Yeah.
put it that way. He's now got a proper moustache and everything.
Porntash. It's bewildering how this guy is still able to be in a cockpit. But it opens up with, I need to say spoilers, I think.
Oh, yeah, spoilers. But I'm assuming people who are listening to this realise if we're going to talk about the film, there are probably going to be spoilers. Everybody dies. If you haven't seen the film, you might not want to listen to this episode. If you don't care about spoilers, crack on. And if you are bothered about spoilers and you continue to listen and you haven't seen the film, you were warned.
With that said, let's carry on. Opens up with him pretty much going to work to test pilot.
I mean, I can relate to this.
Okay, good. So you obviously get on your bike in the morning, drive at high speed down the runway, chasing an F-15.
No.
Oh, and then you turn up to a secure secret base.
I mean, it's not that secret and secure because he drove straight past the security fella. There was no badge waving. There was no security checks. He could have been anyone. We've watched Mission Impossible. People can wear face masks.
Also, he probably thought he was from Tom Cruise. He went, that's Tom Cruise, let him in.
Yeah.
He said, that's the guy from Mission Impossible. Don't stop him, he just let him in. So that's what happened. If it wasn't Tom Cruise, if it was you, they would have gone, where's your ID? And you go, I'm a drone pilot. Do you not know who I am?
Yeah, I've got aviators, people.
Yeah. So he goes to work to fly a secret plane, and the purpose of it is to get it to Mach 10, not Big Mach 10, which is what I normally do.
Which is why we won't fit in the cockpits of these planes.
No one needs to see a cock in a cockpit, do they? To be honest. And then they get told that the whole mission's been scrapped in place of drones and...
I mean, we are the future, people. I mean, basically, you've got Tom Cruise or me, and you're looking at the defense of the world, the continuing of civilization, Tom Cruise specimen, me, the closest I've ever got to a Mac was McDonald's, not a sponsor. The two Macs are the podstation.co.uk if you'd like to throw some money.
They? Yeah.
They should be, given the amount of money that we send their way. So yes, I can see why he doesn't agree with that analysis.
He then decides, typical Tom Cruise movie, to go against the law and order and jumps in the cockpit, takes off in this secret... It looks like
that stealth fighter,
looks like
didn't it?
What was X-Men,
Yeah.
the Bluebird,
yeah.
or Blackbird even because it's black. It looks like one of them. But he's test driving that. Long story short, he gets it to Mach 10 and everyone goes, "Whee, we've all saved our jobs. We're not going to get sacked anymore." And then typical Tom Cruise go, "I can push it a bit more." And he gets it to Mach 10.3 and blows up.
I mean, I feel we've skipped a few steps here because we've got the soundtrack tunes leading us into this, which gets us all in the nostalgia feels. We can see Tom on his motorbike looking all sexy with his aviators and his leather jacket, getting us all in the nostalgia feels. And then he goes a little bit rogue because he can't follow orders.
Yeah.
Which is fine, as long as you're not driving something that's worth probably billions of dollars.
It's not quite taking a second-hand car out for a little tootle round town. We're talking a multi-billion-pound piece of kit.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're getting that deducted from your salary.
Well, you are paying it off for the next million years. But the soundtrack and everything else that I didn't mention that you've got in your notes, it was almost as if we'd gone back to the first film again.
Yeah, I thought this film had a wonderful balance between hitting you in the old nostalgia, but obviously introducing the new people and moving the story forward in a modern way without it feeling contrite or forced. I mean, again, cards on the table. I absolutely adored this movie. I thought it was brilliant. Genuinely thought it was brilliant. Everything about it was cool. I thought Tom Cruise was fabulous. I mean, that smile, I fell in love with him.
He has got a nice smile, hasn't he?
He just has. I forgot how lovable Maverick is, because even when he's been totally disrespectful to, like, the Admiral who racked up to tell him that they had no more money for the Mac plane, even when he was being disrespectful to him or basically saying, "I know I went against your orders and I don't care," he says it in such a wonderful way that I half expected the Admiral to bed him right there.
Okay. I think his smile borders on maniacal. He has a smile that is just on the cusp of being...
insanity.
Yeah. It's nice. Then it's like, ooh, Joker.
Is he joking?
It's just has a bit of a sociopathic smile.
I mean, he clearly doesn't give a fuck.
No, but I think if he went mental, that would be the smile he'd give you.
Yeah.
As he rode off in a plane at Mach 10.
He's got some control about him, though, because when he racks up in the bar, when he gets told he's going off to teach some children how to also be equally subordinate.
Or insubordinate.
Insubordinate. He gets sent to teach kids how to be equally insubordinate. He goes into the bar. He gets a bit of a hard time in there, and quite frankly, they're all dickheads.
Yes. The bar that she rings the bell.
Yeah.
Okay, we've jumped ahead though because he goes into the cafe.
Oh yes. Well, yeah, that's how we'll.
Well, we can jump.
Yeah. No. Let's go back to the fact he just crashed $1 billion plane. I mean, obviously, I looked over that very quickly because we've moved on. Because I just want to defend him. Because just to remind everyone, I am a pilot and therefore can sympathise with the need for speed.
Did you just see the need for speed, Kag? Oh dear Lord.
Thank you.
He smashed up a plane.
He did.
And then ended up in a cafe.
It's a good thing that glass of water was a fresh glass of water, because you racked up. It was a glass of water that a 5-year-old kid had been sort of half drinking, and then as it take away, half the dinner goes back in the glass. And so at the bottom, you've got all this stuff floating in the bottom.
You've got a meal in a glass, haven't you, essentially?
He racks up just next one of those bad boys. I mean, I think there's actually a business idea there, because there's a meal and a drink all in one.
That's Dragon's Den right there.
Isn't it?
What you need is a toddler to eat a meal.
You just need loads of kids. What we need to do is put kids to work for very little money.
Just eating and regurgitating into a glass of water and then bottle it.
Yeah.
Also done by kids.
Sprog grog.
Is that what you're going to go with?
Yeah.
Dragon's Den. Watch out.
He gets away quite easily with that, doesn't he? In fact, he gets away with quite a lot.
Because he's like, where am I? And the kid says, Earth. Hilarious.
Well, you say that, but I actually did laugh out loud 3 or 4 times during this film with some of the quips that were thrown in. I mean, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but you're proper.
I know. Tom Cruise
I'm jumping all over the place.
You're like a Tom Cruise missile.
How long have you waited to get that one out?
I know, yeah.
The Iceman scene at the very end, that was very funny.
At the end?
Well, it was Iceman.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next time.
It was Iceman's end.
Oh my God, you're going at Mach 10.
I'm all over the place. I'm so excited. It's because I'm a pilot.
Okay, let's
You're going to have to drive this ship because I'm all over the show. I'm just a loose cannon. I'm just like Maverick.
Oh my God, you're probably fanboying over the Tom Cruise. Let's go back to your pub visit. Well, they're on the base, essentially, in the pub.
I haven't been to a pub. My pub. Oh, right, okay, yes, sorry.
Pub owner as well as a pilot.
No, I'm a pilot.
Any job beginning with P. The pub that has the big bell that he goes and speaks.
Were you sitting next to me?
I was, yeah. I said, what's that bell having there? It's supposedly, because I don't think she's in the original film, but the lady, Kelly McGillis, age hasn't been good to her. So they've brought in another potential love interest in the form of Jennifer Connelly.
It took me ages to figure this out because Kelly McGillis was the original one. Now in this film, we've obviously got a new Jennifer Connelly love. The way they played it, I pretty much doubted myself for the entirety of the film as to whether or not she was in the first film.
And what was the outcome?
I don't know.
Oh, well, I don't think she was.
I don't think she was. IMDb, which of course is the fountain of all my knowledge, doesn't suggest she is.
I think they've just made it so that he has another love interest, but they've done it in such a way that they indicate that they've obviously had dalliances in the past, and he's come back to base. They're a Top Gun again. She's on the base pub or in the local area where they all drink, so he's just like kind of igniting that flame again with his afterburners.
Whee!
There was a notable absence of hair in Snowpiercer, so now I know where she's been.
Right.
She has been trying to find out whether
she's been fleecing Tom Cruise for every penny he's got. Now I know he's got a fair few pennies, although I'm sure the church probably takes a good chunk of that. But she proper sees him. I mean, I don't think I would have dealt with it quite as politely if someone had said, right, you see these hundreds of people in my pub, you're buying them all a pint because you have to put your phone on the bar. I'd be like, well, you need to put the sign somewhere more prominent, don't you? I firmly dispute the legitimacy of your claim to my wallet.
That's like those parking places where you go and park your car and they have a signpost the size of a stamp, and then you get a ticket for £100,000. They go, well, there's a sign there. It's like, yeah, but only midgets can read that. Can you say midget?
Probably not.
Okay, well, okay.
Small person.
Yeah. But basically the same sort of thing. She stood in front of the sign.
Yeah, well, she did.
She stood in front of the sign.
She stood in front of the sign. And she waited as well, because his phone was on the table.
Yeah, at the beginning.
For a while.
Yeah, she didn't say, oh, that's one of the rules, take it off. And if
she didn't even give him fair one. And she'd go, don't want to put that there.
And he'd be like, why? And since she would have moved herself out of the way.
There's a sign here that says you can't.
Behind my ass.
Now, what is the reason for that?
Oh, she's an arsehole. Don't disrespect the staff. Don't have your phone on the table.
On the bar.
Don't forget to say please or thank you. Look both ways crossing the road. Don't take sweets from strangers.
Don't eat yellow snow.
No bombing, no light petting, no running, no diving.
No crossing of the streams.
Yes, exactly all them. But a big sign now. You would have seen that one.
Now, again, I'm trying to put myself in this position as a pilot. I can get that the best of the best would have an arrogance about them, but one assumes they have a little bit of self-awareness to know the line of bellendery. And I accept that in life we all creep over the bellendery line every now and again, and usually our friends and our family drag us by our short and curlies back over to the right side of said line. These guys are so far past the line, you can't even see the line. Now, if I had to buy one of them a pint, I'm not sure it would end nicely for anyone with that level of bellendery, because Hangman wouldn't have been getting out of there alive with his scrotum intact.
Why would you go for his scrotum? All the things that he's got, you go for his scrotum.
Full disclosure, I'm just watching another rerun of Game of Thrones and we've just gone past Greyjoy's
penis
dismemberment, so maybe I've got that on my brain.
You've mixed the two.
And by the way, the other thing that perhaps has brought me to that was the fact that I went for a wee and my hand stuck because it was covered in ice cream. And to lay some context to that.
No, don't. That's a competition. Ring in if you want to find out.
I feel we should give a shout out to the guy at Odin, not a sponsor of the show, the 2 Macs at podstation.co.uk, who served us at the ice cream stand.
Ice cream John.
He did a magnificent job in giving us the biggest ice cream ever. I mean,
That's now of your penis.
we didn't have three. We didn't have 3 scoops. We had 3 mountains, and the problem was it was on the hottest day of the year so far. It was melting as fast as we could walk. And so it became a bit of a disaster because we came into the cinema. You needed to get yourself all settled in. So you put your ice cream in the cup holder, except the cup holder was too deep for the ice cream pot. So you couldn't get your ice cream back out. So you'd stick your fingers in the ice cream to almost suck it out. Then he decided he needed to go for a wee. Handed me your ice cream.
Yeah.
I was already holding my own ice cream. Both were fucking melting. I didn't want to be rude and start licking the shit out of yours to stop it. I was just focused entirely on mine. By the time we came back, my hands were just covered in ice cream and it was all sticky. So I went to the toilet to wash my hands. While I was there, I thought I'll go for a quick wee before the film starts. I just did it in the wrong order.
So you had a wee first, then washed your hands.
Yeah.
So your penis is covered in different types of flavoured chocolate.
If you sprinkle hundreds and thousands on there, it'd be like a flake.
Like a cornetto.
Anyway, moving on.
Someone's having a happy evening. But the other thing that I noticed when I was walking across the foyer of the Odeon Cinema is you licking your ice cream. It looked like I was next to the Andrex dog. I've never seen a tongue. Have anyone seen Clifford, the big red dog? His tongue is massive. Someone's impressed.
Well, it's not that big normally, but for ice cream, we get the special one out.
I thought I was walking against Scooby-Doo. Raggy, raggy, woo!
I can't remember how we got onto that.
You were talking about Greyjoy's penis.
Oh, yes.
And then you said, reminded yourself of your penis, and then got onto the fact that you put ice cream
There
on
we
your penis.
go. Yeah, right, back on track. I'm there now.
Oh, that's right, because you were saying if you went into the bar and the egos, so the problem with their egos is they've passed that line so much. The people they're around are also high-level ego.
I suppose they have to be that confident to have that self-belief because they're doing everything so quick and in such a high-pressure situation. And again, I'm regaling my own personal feelings as a pilot and how I feel when I'm standing on the ground flying my drone. The pressure and the intensity of it all. I suppose you do have to be really confident. I do feel that there needs to be a button where you can dial it down a touch when you're in public without getting your face stuffed in. Because if they'd have acted like that in Liverpool city centre, they ain't surviving the first hour.
And it wouldn't be a happy hour.
No.
But also, what I did notice is for a bar that was as full as it was, and that he ended up getting...
He got served quick, didn't he?
He did. The wodge of money that he gave her to pay his tab wasn't that much.
No.
That was about a couple of pounds.
It could have been hundreds, though. We could have given him rolls of hundreds. There was one person behind the bar. There was hundreds of people in there.
Yeah.
And you got served straight away.
And no queues.
So what are all those people doing in the pub? Because they're not buying booze,
Eating
are they?
peanut.
But anyway. We meet Goose, his son.
Sun Goose.
Son Goose, baby Goose.
Ganders. Geesey. Who's decided as a life choice to have the same moustache as his dead dad.
And to wear the same sorts of shirts. And in fairness, he pulled it off. I mean, I thought he looked really good with it. I'm not sure I'd pull it off that well.
Well, you had ice cream on your penis, didn't you? So that's
You just get sticky.
you're going to need to get a crowbar to take your pants off when you get in. I'd pay money to see that. But that's a separate show. But no, he gets away with it. I mean, moustaches haven't been that favourable for 2 reasons: Hitler and porn.
An ice cream. Did you get it in your ice cream? Honest to God, it was all over the show.
He sports that. He's there, and then...
He is. Well, he comes in, and I mean, I don't know whether it was a surprise, because it's not really, because it's not Maverick's kid, so why would he be? It's very clear that Hangman is sort of the Iceman, the super confident alpha male. Ooh, look at me, I'm the big dog. And then you've got Rooster, who turns out to be uber cautious. Like uber cautious.
As a call sign, I didn't think Rooster was particularly the most original.
No.
Oh, Hangman, how would you get that? Well, they say it's because they leave him hanging, but his helmet has the actual game Hangman. So is it because you keep guessing guessing what the letter is?
I don't know.
I have no idea. What would yours be?
Well, I would probably go down the Bob theme. I really liked Bob's, so I'd probably have mine as Steve. Maybe something really boring. Because they go, is that your call sign? I go, yes. I mean, we don't really have call signs in the drone pilot world.
Well, we may do. Get that knobhead off the field, please.
We get perv.
Yeah. Security.
Yes.
You'd go down with Steve.
Probably go with something quite tongue-in-cheek, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I could take myself seriously if I went with something really serious and slick. What about you?
Afterburner.
Why?
I don't know. It's quite funny to call yourself your call sign of the name of your engines. Can you put your afterburners on? You mean me?
I'd have eject.
So people read it and press the button. Everyone's flying out of multi-billion-pound planes.
Are you alright? Eject. What are you doing?
Oh,
you
fire.
said eject.
I might just put fire. So everyone ends up getting shot.
Oh dear, yes.
Sometimes.
I mean, in all seriousness, I felt I was probably going to cry about 6 times during this film. Because
I thought I heard you crying at one point.
No, I didn't actually break that barrier. But there was just moments which were so well done that I did genuinely think, oh, hello, that's quite emotional.
There was a point I thought you were going to start crying.
The goose thing, when he's playing the piano.
Okay.
And singing Great Balls of Fire.
Yes.
And I got really excited about that because, of course, it's a massive callback to when Goose and Meg Ryan, whatever her character was called, were singing that, and Tom Cruise was, and obviously the famous line, "Take me to bed, Goose, or lose me forever," or "Take me to bed, stud." I've never said it to a person.
I don't think it works in real life. We might get a slap in the face.
Probably. I'll try it tonight and report back with me sticky wicket.
With your ice cream sundae penis.
Oh, yes. But that, I felt nostalgic about him singing that song, but the feels came from Maverick's face. I think Tom Cruise, as an acting job in this film, was quite phenomenal because I think his acting skills are perhaps underestimated sometimes because he does these all-out blockbuster action movies, and I think people overlook it. He stood there, and just with the emotion on his face, he looked like he was so horrified by the flashback that he got from looking at that scene. It moved me.
I mean, it was good from an exposition point of view for people who haven't seen the first, which is available on, did you say Now TV?
It's on Sky, Now TV. I think you said Amazon as well, yeah.
So neither of those are sponsors, but you're welcome.
Because my wife hasn't seen this first film. She came to watch this with us.
Right.
And hadn't seen the first one.
Was that who was sitting next to me?
Yeah.
I wondered who that was.
Did you introduce yourself? No,
I was a bit nervous if I was too busy fingering my ice cream. I didn't, because originally there was 2 of us going to the cinema.
There was.
And I turned to my left to obviously talk to you.
Yeah.
And this lady in the darkness, and I was like, oh, bloody hell, I've sat in the wrong seat. So I'm a bit awkward for the entirety of the movie. And also, having just fingered my ice cream in front of her. Not the best opener, is it?
It's not. But yet, she came and hadn't watched the first film.
Right.
Which made it slightly up, because I was obviously really excited about things like this goose moment. I feel I have to tell her. I'm sure I irritated the living daylights out of going, oh, this is the point where... And then they have a bit of a flashback. None of this means anything to her whatsoever, because she still hasn't seen the first film, so she doesn't care who Goose is.
Right.
There was quite a few points in this film where there was moments like that. The Iceman scene was
that's when I thought you were crying.
One which was quite touching. I mean, I did get a bit close.
You didn't know that though, did you, till afterwards?
No, I knew it was something like that from the way she said, yeah, there's not they can do.
But in real life, I'm talking about, you didn't know.
I didn't know he genuinely has it in real life.
So obviously not everybody, when you do films that are like 30, 40 years after the original, that was such a good film, to revisit these franchises isn't always a great idea, because not all the actors have aged as well as Tom Cruise has. Kelly McGuinness being one of those people. Sadly, Val Kilmer over the years has gained a bit of weight, but also has throat cancer. For him to be in the film, because when they showed the trailers, they just showed you photographs of it, and I thought that was quite a nice nod.
Yeah.
But to actually have a scene where they made The Reason He Can't Talk part of that story to get him back into the film, it's a nice homage, I thought, and gave him some involvement. And then also, in real life, he's got throat cancer. But that was when I thought I heard you crying.
No, I didn't cry. It was quite a close to home thing that I think they spoiled the scene slightly when he did start talking, because I found the one-way conversation because Iceman only wrote, 2, maybe 3 sentences on the computer, but they managed to have an entire conversation with those 3 sentences being applicable to what Maverick was saying.
Yes.
And I think that was where it became so profound and so intense, because you could see how emotional Maverick was, and you could almost hear the conversation in your head. You could hear what Iceman was saying and the back and forth. And so when he did speak, I thought he said too much, which sounds really harsh. I think if he'd have just asked the question of who was the better pilot, if that would have been the only thing he'd have said, I think that would have been a perfect scene, because I don't think he needed that little bit of preamble before. I think he said everything he needed to do with his emotion and the screen. But obviously he made it much lighter. They pulled it back with that end
I think
quib.
he's been to the same school as you have for emails. With just like 3 words on an email, and then you send one back and then you get 3 words.
Well, if he sent me that as an email, I would have probably read that.
You would have, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I don't think he actually spoke. I think they ADR'd that in.
Do you think?
They took a couple of shots from behind, and I reckon they probably ADR'd that in. I don't think he said all of those words.
I mean, it's very emotional.
It's nice that they got him back in.
It was also quite nice that they were such close friends. I was listening to an interview with the director about this. They were saying they were obviously hugely competitive when they were in Top Gun, but at the end of the day, they were comrades in arms. They were fighting next to each other, and naturally that bond was always going to be something that carried on. And it was the same with Goose's son, because they were saying that no kid is going to blame Maverick for the death of his dad. That's not how it works. The kid's a kid. It was clear and evident that it wasn't Maverick's fault, so there's no logical reason, and Maverick would naturally draw himself to become very ensconced in their family and their upbringing. And so it was quite nice that they actually did that, and that the fallout was more for the paper thing. I'm glad that was the reason why they'd had a tete-a-tete, that it was a further down the line when he's an adult and they have a disagreement over whatever it was, as opposed to this, oh, you killed my dad nonsense, which would have been a really easy trope to go down.
Years, he would have moved on by then.
Yeah.
But the fact that he held his career back by pulling his papers.
Well, he said he wasn't ready. And in fairness to him, when towards the end of the scene with the mission, I'm sitting there going, I don't think you're bleeding ready either. You're going to accelerate a kid. Use it. Again, I'm just having flashbacks to when I'm a drone.
Drone pilot,
yeah. And you just need to put the pedal to the metal.
Yeah, because that reminds me of a story of when you were really up against it and flew your drone into a pond. Do you remember that one?
Well, that's an emotional time for me.
Did you ever get forgiven for that chaotic crash?
Well, the drone did dry out and worked again, so as far as I'm concerned, that's no longer part of history. Moving on.
What have you got in your notes?
Oh, let me see what the next keyword. I've got Goose written down. Well, what do we think of him as a character?
Well, for this one, I suppose you needed that character as a legacy character from the first film to bring it into it. Otherwise, it's just a film about planes and you just bring Tom Cruise in. Because pretty much most of the people, well, let's forget for a minute Val Kilmer, pretty much all of these characters are new.
Wasn't Warlock from the original film?
Ed Harris?
No, the Admiral's right hand. Hondo and Warlock, I actually thought were in the original film, and looking back on IMDb, I was wrong again. Although they were made to feel like they had been, which is very clever.
Well, if you've forgotten the original, then yes, it is very clever.
Well, Hondo, I assumed was because
his name's Hondo.
Yeah, anyway.
But he could be out of SWAT.
It's amazing how much of a goose he looked like. He did.
He looks like his dad. They cast him well.
He flaming does. They cast it very well.
But then I wonder whether you'd look like him if you shaved your beard and kept your moustache.
Oh, no. If I took my top off, I ain't looking like that.
Oh, I see. We're going straight to the nudity.
We'll go straight. He's an unfortunate character because his dad obviously died in the crash in the first film, and it appears Meg Ryan snuffed at his mum as well.
We don't find that out, do we?
We don't find that out. But Tom Cruise isn't that old in real life, and presumably isn't that old if he's flying a plane in this film. His mum and dad have both gone early.
Are you going to sneeze?
I was going to yawn.
Yawn sneeze.
It's a bit of a come down what happens to us pilots.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Wind down. We properly wind down.
The last time I saw Meg Ryan, she was having an orgasm in a cafe. Not in real life, obviously. That would have been interesting. That'd be on TMZ. She didn't explain why she wasn't in it. I imagine because she's aged badly and had lots of cosmetic surgery.
Because he's 60, is Tom Cruise.
He's 60.
60 this year.
Wow.
In fact, he's 60, 3rd of July, a few weeks' time. 60 years old. I just just repeat that because this moves us nicely onto the beach scene. He's 60 years old and he looks healthier than I do now, and I'm not 60.
All of those Scientology lessons have paid off, haven't they?
It was noticeable that the camera didn't get quite as close to him. He's clearly very much in shape. He's obviously getting a bit of the old saggy skin. You know, like when you get older, your skin loses its...
elasticity.
Yeah, and it becomes a bit saggy, so even though you're in shape, you still look a bit...
You look like a battered suitcase.
Yeah, and as against those specimens on the beach.
Yeah, they were probably about 20 odd.
I mean, I just wanted to get involved. Well, I say that. Let's just rewind that a sec. I didn't want to get involved because I have a real issue with sand sticking. So, you know, if you're sweaty and sand sticks to you, or you're wet and sand sticks to you, you've got suntan cream on and sand sticks, you go into the sea, you've got to walk back, you've got sand everywhere. I hate that. Drives me insane. I just want to brush all the sand off. But then you can't, because while you're brushing the sand off, it gets on your towel and your hands, and then it goes on your sandwiches. And yeah.
Well, I've got sandwiches on the beach. Who's that hungry to take a baguette with them?
Well, I don't anymore because you just get sand in them.
That's what I call sandwiches.
So if they said to me, oh, do you want to play this game? I'd be like, no, because you're all sweaty and wet, and when you tackle me, we'll get sand everywhere. And actually, when you throw the ball, when I catch it, all the sand will splash off the ball. And
I think you've overthought this myself.
Yeah.
And also, they wouldn't have invited you.
No, well...
Because you're a miserable bastard.
Well, they would have done, because I'd have been walking along the beach in my aviators with that pilot strut that I've got.
And a pie.
And they'd have gone, you're one of us, come on over.
Get your top off, lad. You go, can I be a goalie?
I'd say, no, I can't, because I've got t-shirt lines.
With tattoos. Have you got a tattoo of a drone?
No, we don't do that, because you've got to keep yourself as a specimen.
For what?
I noticed they changed the game that they were playing on the beach.
I thought it was volleyball. But
It's American football.
Oh, was it?
It was American football with 2 balls. Well, there was lots of 2 balls, but...
There's only 1 ball in European rugby.
As he was saying, there was 2 balls because you were playing attack and defence at the same time. So you're trying to score a try whilst also trying to stop the other team at the same time, which obviously was designed, and again, with personal experience, you have to do multiple things at multiple times. And I mean, it's very homoerotic.
How have I ended up doing a podcast on 50 Shades of Grey?
Hey, I didn't put that scene in the movie.
How is it homoerotic?
Well, there's just loads of fellas running around with the tops off going... I mean,
they have to do that, though, for the G's.
They had one girl in the team,
yeah,
and they didn't hover the camera on her much.
Well, no, because she wasn't topless.
Well, that's my point. Why have we got all these fellas getting all the bits out? That's what I mean. It's all like, look at me, 6-pack, tense. And there was an awful lot of the movements going on. They did all love themselves, absolutely.
Yeah, if you had a 6-pack, not a 6-pack wrapped in a party pack, would you not be doing the same?
I don't think so.
I would see you walking down the street for just a loaf without a top on, and you probably have the only G that you'd be pulling is the G string out your arse crack. That's what I'd say.
Listen, if I didn't have a top on, I would become one of the man-made, what the man-made, what they called, the 7 wonders a man-made wonder of the world, because you'd be able to see me from space. It'd just be this white little dot walking down the street.
On the Great Wall of China.
Going, there is a white thing moving on the street.
Is it a polar bear?
They go, it's all right, it's Paul Hardy, I ain't got a top on.
It's Steve, the aviator. Has he got his shades on as well?
Yeah, he has.
Steve,
Yeah. He's carrying his drone under his arm.
Yeah, because he can't fly it properly. He's been grounded. What's on your impressive list of notes?
Well, day 1 I've put where he puts all the little bastards back in their place, which must have been incredibly satisfying after the bar debacle.
Well, for many reasons. Not only that, he also, from what I understand from watching interviews and B-roll footage, made everyone who auditioned for the roles be in the actual planes. Everything that you see happen.
Wow.
So I think you would probably have them in the back cockpit.
Yeah, they weren't going to be flying now.
Tom Cruise's plane, the one he flies at the end, is actually his plane. He has a pilot's license.
Yeah.
I thought it was quite clever that they did all the which you have to do so you don't, because you have a G suit on.
Yeah.
Your G string. They have to do that so all the blood doesn't flow from your heart and die.
Okay.
So they have to go as if you're having a poo, but stop.
Okay.
I would at that point, back through lack of training, I would have shat myself, because I would have gone. That would happen. But they actually were in the planes, which I thought was very impressive. So not only were manoeuvres happening...
Manoeuvres were happening.
Manoeuvres were happening.
Well, we were joking about the fact that we both get travel sick if we're not driving a car.
Yes.
I highly doubt we'd survive one of these.
No, I'd be ill.
I wouldn't be ill, I'd just be dead.
The back of
They'd be like, what's this really dry, crumpled mess of powder on the back? It's like, it used to be Mark, but he's so dehydrated from all the throwing up he's just done.
Yeah. Is he white?
There's no fluid left.
He look like a pile of cocaine.
Has he but with little stripes where the t-shirt stopped.
Yeah. There'd just be a drone covered in cocaine.
Oh dear.
I'd be the same because I get motion sickness.
But he did put them all back in their place.
Oh, yes, big
in
time.
proper Maverick style.
Yeah. I mean, I find it hard, let's be real about it, that a man who's nearly 60 is able to just walk back into a job in a brand new plane that he's had no training in.
Well, it wasn't, was it? It was the model plane he flew when he was a Top Gun. I think the younger guys were having to fly this older model plane and adapt, as well as being less experienced. So it did bring them onto a slightly level playing field.
Okay, I thought he flew F-14s and these are F-19s.
I mean, I'm making it all up.
Oh, right, okay.
There's
Sorry,
no
I'm not allowed for that.
There's no factual base. I figured if I said it confidently enough, you'd just let that slide.
No, that was the callback later in the film, that the plane he flies is actually the planes they flew in the original.
All right.
Which is why he knew all what he knew and was telling Goose, pump the air and put that on and pull all the chocks and everything. Which is why I say chocks away.
All right, okay.
Just a little side thing. I think there's F-19 Hornets that they're flying. And
you clearly know more about this than I do.
As an aviator, I would have thought you would have been right on that.
Yeah, no, we stick to our specialties.
Okay. Any hornets you come across a net when you fly into them.
Well, they sting me while I'm trying to control it.
Yeah. I think they were in the planes they fly. He was in a newer plane, still outsmarted them. So I find that a bit hard to believe.
Well, there is a discrepancy throughout this film about how well you could actually do with the plane versus the other plane. The big mission at the end, they've got these 5th generation, which I assume are the brand new ones. And by the way, can they fucking turn on a sixpence? I mean, that was just awesome.
Well, that was my biggest hang up with this, is throughout the whole film, they talk about how hard.
You had the theory.
Do it later
Should we do the theory? We'll come to your theory later, but you have a theory about this.
And throughout the film, they set this up, don't they? It's 12 of the best of the best Top Guns. They've been called back like a RuPaul drag race. They've been brought back in to be the best of the best. They are going to be chosen based on what they can do, and there's going to be 4 planes, that's it, out of the 12. Tom Cruise's job is to choose who's the best, and he does all these trainings and tests. And throughout this, no one actually gets kicked out, do they? They all end up being at the end of the film.
It's the modern world, Mark. Everyone gets a medal.
Yeah, that's true.
You get a medal just for being there.
Turning up. Yeah. But they make it clear that this is the hardest mission, and they allude to the fact that somebody isn't coming back because the Admiral says, your job is to train them, make sure they're mission ready, and then he says nothing, and then Tom Cruise says, and come back, and he goes quiet, and he goes, and come back, and he still says nothing. It's implied throughout the film that you might die. The mission is critical. You're going to be 100 meters off the ground. You're flying at ridiculous speed.
It was a ridiculous mission.
Yeah. So they make it clear that the probably chance of coming back is slim to nothing. Then throughout the film, they make it sound like he's now no longer needed, and the Admiral comes in and goes, right, we can do 300 meters now, and you can fly a bit slower, and instead of having 2.5 minutes, you've got 4 minutes.
Take as long as you want. I tell you what, take your phone, you can get some nice snaps while you're about.
And stop off for a Chinese banquet.
Yeah.
Done. And then suddenly, whilst he's doing his 4-minute thing, over the tannoy, bloody Maverick gone rogue and decided to take a plane up and just do the mission himself, and giving himself not just 2 minutes 30, 2 minutes 15.
No, he wasn't into the 3 minutes. The 3 minutes was what he'd set, but he moved it to, was it 2:15? Yeah. Which is impressive. Did you notice that they didn't specify the country of origin for where this uranium plant was? Yeah. I think the UN had waded in going, please, for God's sake, do not name any country that's probably likely to be doing this exact thing. We need not to be stirring the horn.
We can't have another war going on.
Because the general principle in Hollywood these days is just make the English the bad guys.
Yes.
But you can't really do that here, because as far as I'm aware, we probably do all of those things, but we do it blatantly. Yeah. Because we're the good guys.
It's usually Russia or China or the Middle East, isn't it?
Yeah, North Korea.
It's Asian countries, China.
Yeah, because it wasn't very terroristic. No. The terroristy ones, you tend to go to deserts. This had snow.
Snow. So you kind of think Russia,
China.
Potentially on the coast. One of those. Oh, yeah, well, maybe North Korea. They didn't say a word, did they? They kept that pretty close to their chest. However, he managed to do it first time.
He did.
And I found that a bit hard to believe, if I'm honest, because let's remember... 60-year-old in a plane that he's not familiar with. He's been away from it for a good few years.
I think he was playing a 60-year-old in the film. He doesn't look 60, so it's very plausible that...
You could work out the mathematics of it, though, if you work out how old he was in Top Gun and add on the time it is now, because it's present day, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not in the future, so it's in real time. So if you go back to when the film was released and add whatever years on, he's in his 50s and he's pulling 10 Gs. One of my things is, for people who are in the 60s, steal a plane, get yourself up to 10 Gs and reply back to us on an email of no more than 5 words. And let us know how you get on, because I don't think you're coming back from that, if I'm honest. I find that hard to believe, because these guys, bear in mind, they're about 20 and they're getting trained.
Well, in fairness, Rooster wasn't going fast enough to get up to...
Well, he was just being
10 Gs. He was like driving Miss Daisy of the team.
Well, that's why I made Rooster.
Like, hang on. Indicate, check the mirror.
It's like that guy driving to the cinema that was in front of you.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
The taxi driver who didn't know where he was going.
Which is weird.
I now know how the people who were following Rooster felt.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, we could do with getting there sometime today, kid.
Yeah, he was rather slow. Well, he lost, 2 minutes on the run?
I know.
And also, just realising, who thought that this was just a retelling of Star Wars?
Well, I did think when they were talking about how small the gap was to shoot the thing in.
You've to go through a small channel, and you've got to get 2 things into it.
It was Star Wars, wasn't it?
Well, so I think people probably...
Who was Luke Skywalker? Was it Maverick? Luke.
Yeah, he was using the Force.
In fact, the baddie pilots were wearing Darth Vader helmets.
Who were?
Or the
Russians.
who were the black helmeted soldiers in
5th gen airplanes.
Yeah, but who were the ones in Star Wars?
Oh,
who
stormtroopers.
Are they stormtroopers, the ones that wear the black
types.
versions?
Yeah, the Thai pilots.
Yeah.
Not Thai people pilots, Thai pilots. They're not Asians. Because Thai pilots is a thing. If you go on one of those Asian planes, you'll have Thai pilots, won't you?
So yeah, it was Star Wars.
Yeah, it was. Wow.
Revelation.
Yeah, we've just spent a fortune to see Star Wars again.
I mean, the irony is it was a better Star Wars than the Obi-Wan series that we're being put through at the minute. What else have we got? Did you like the way that they had Iceman in this film?
Yeah.
I know we touched on that scene earlier.
That was one of my high points there, because I feel bad for Val Kilmer in a way, because I think he's had a bit of a shit laugh.
How do you mean?
Well, just in terms of how life throws you.
In fairness, though, the rumours are he was a difficult person to work with.
Done a couple of poor movies. I liked him in Willow, going to Disney in 3 months' time. I liked him in The Saint.
Yeah, but he's supposed to have been very difficult in some of these films.
Yeah, how you are as a person. To get throat cancer, have that as a reason why you can't be in films.
Yeah, throat cancer is not a good thing.
No,
but he hadn't had that all his life to justify these other bellenderies.
I just think to not be able to be in films, if that's your love, simply because of health issues, is a bit sad.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be hard to get on with, and I think that comes with celebrityism, because I think a lot of people... And Tom Cruise is hard to work with.
I don't know. Everyone says he's really nice.
Do they?
Well,
that rant when he was doing Mission Impossible?
No.
Nearly sacked everybody.
Did he, right?
Yeah, because somebody stood next to him without a mask on.
Oh, really?
Because he's executive producer on all these films now through his company. He makes the rules. That's why when he did Mission Impossible 1 and 2 together, he basically hired out a whole farm, put everyone in COVID lockdown so they couldn't leave. And then he was like, because somebody didn't wear a mask on set or something, he properly ranted. I think he's nice because he spends time with his fans, and I like that. But I don't think he's particularly easy to work with when he's the person paying your wage and he's the producer.
Okay.
But I haven't worked with him.
Yeah, you can't drop that name yet.
No.
You're working on it.
Working on it. But to be fair, he hasn't worked with me.
I mean, do you want me to drop a word in for you as a fellow pilot? Next time he's nearby, I'll just go, hey, Tom, how are you doing? I'm a pilot as well.
When he's in the Rafa Club, get my pint.
Yeah.
Well, just ring that bell and put your phone on the table again, didn't you, Tom? Never learn from your mistakes.
I'd just go, sorry, left my wallet.
Thought the Iceman thing was nice.
The Iceman thing was lovely. Very nice that Iceman was looking after Maverick as well.
But they killed him off pretty quick. It was like just popped in to see Val Kilmer, dead. Wasn't it? As soon as he'd been to see him, it was as if it was always meant to happen, because that cleared the way for then the Admiral to enter.
The Admiral's got about 4 reverse gears. How many times did he have to backtrack on his threat? I was always taught in my early career that you don't make a threat that you can't follow on through. You have to be prepared to go, right, okay, if I'm going to say that, I have to stick to it, because as soon as you don't, your bluff's gone. It means that the next time you make a threat, there's no substance to it, because people just assume you're bluffing. And this guy, he'd have been better off having one of them red lights on his head. You know, the reverse one's going, caution, Admiral reversing.
The Rear Admiral.
You can't... Nice. Everything he said, I'm going to ground you forever, but you can fly today. I'm taking over this mission until later when
You're
you
the team
can
leader.
take it.
Yeah.
I thought that felt contrived. That felt a little bit stereotypical. Is that the right word? You've always got the Admiral who doesn't like his ways. And
Well, it's a bit tropey, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think they underplayed his role. I don't think his role actually necessitated much. It wasn't in it that much, apart from turning up to go, you're team leader, you're fired, you're team leader again.
You got 3 weeks to train. No, you haven't. You got 2 weeks to train. We've already spent a week training with the mission parameters being this, but we're now going to change them to this because, of course, that'll make life a whole lot easier. And you've got all of the pilots sitting there going, hang on a minute, if you do that, then we're all going to die. That was probably the only niggle I probably had on this. Well, no, it wasn't. I had a bit of a nig. I felt this film was absolutely brilliant until after Maverick's plane crashed. After Maverick's plane crashed, it all got a little bit silly.
The first time or the second time?
In the
woods.
snow.
Okay.
Yeah, because we did the mission.
Yeah.
They're doing the mission. It's all very tense. I'm sure I was squeezing Ish's hand at the time with the intensity of it because I was just getting flashback to when I'm flying my drone.
Was she getting all the G's?
She's getting all the G's in her hand, and that was brilliant because it was tense. Was it going to work? Was it not going to work? Was driving Miss Daisy ever going to catch up? Could he find that third gear? I mean, what was that all about? All right, I'm going to drive at 2 miles an hour. Oh no, wait a minute! I've just had an epiphany. I'm going to slap it into 10th gear and crash into a mountain because I'm now going too fast.
Yeah, because your reactions aren't that quick.
Either go at the speed you were supposed to go at the beginning, but don't go really slow and then have to make up time by going ridiculously fast, as in faster than Maverick, who we've already established in this film was by a country mile the best pilot.
Agreed.
That felt a bit silly, but apart from that, I thought the mission was great, and I really liked the fact that Maverick plane was going to crash and going to die, and it was all going to be dead sad. I liked that, and I particularly liked the fact that they had to leave him.
Well, they couldn't go back until they did go back.
Well, this is the thing. It was at that point when he crashed, and the Admiral, in fairness, was like, no, everyone back. I'm not losing anyone else. You're not going to find him. We're in enemy territory. We've already pissed them off royally. They're all over us now. They're sending out... We've got the wrong type of planes to be fighting against the ones who are going to come after us.
Which I find hard to believe.
Get your ass back onto the hangar and we can either regroup or whatever it might be. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
And it was at that point that it all went a bit Pete Tong because everyone suddenly decided they were going to disobey orders, which I'm pretty certain is a big no-no in the armed forces world. Because not following orders gets people killed. That's the whole point, isn't it?
But the point you're talking about in this film, for me, loads of things flew up in my mind of how it was just unbelievable. So these fifth generation planes, we've already established it's either Russia or Korea. You want me to believe that America...
Allegedly. I don't want to get any anthrax in my post from Putin. Although I suppose he's got his hands full at the minute, hasn't he?
Just say that sentence again. You don't want anthrax from Putin.
No.
Am
I now on a list with a folder?
Because Putin's just another word for farting, isn't it?
So is it?
I just thought you don't get anthrax from Putin. Putin, yeah?
No.
As in Poot, P-O-O-T, Putin?
No. His surname is literally a fart.
In America, the pooter is a little handheld thing that makes people go...
Wow, I did not know that.
Every day's a school day. Every aviators don't get taught that. This part of the film had a whole Rambo 3 style where not only does Tom Cruise crash a plane a second time, he then outruns a Russian helicopter gunship, and it is a Russian one because it looks exactly the same one that's from Rambo 3. He jumps over a tree.
When they were firing the bullets, I was surprised that they didn't make it through the tree.
I've seen Mythbusters when they test these theories, and 50 caliber is going through a tree trunk. I am telling you that. But then all of a sudden, it gets destroyed because Goose, who was supposed to not disobey orders, has returned, and then he gets shot down.
How does Goose even know where he is?
Exactly. And then the other thing that made the whole thing bizarre, which leads to my theory, is Tom Cruise says these vital words. I did that to save you. It was all about saving you. Classic line that makes my whole theory stand.
But you've got a theory of this. Is it a legitimate theory, or are you just being...
pedantic?
Are you just saying it because it gets a bit ridiculous at this point? It does go a bit random.
Well, based on this sentence, my theory is, and I'll leave it open to the listeners, I think that when he crashes his plane doing Mach 10.3, that he dies, and from the moment on, when we see him in the cafe, he is living out a death dream. It's about redemption over the guilt of Goose dying.
Okay.
So he's dreaming that he will go and train the son of Goose. That is why in the dream, he says to Goose, it was all about saving you, because he wants that dream to be the redemption road, because none of it makes sense. A fifth generation aeroplanes that are super improved than what America's got right right now, America's the leader in weapons system. How is that possible? How did you not know Korea is producing a 5th generation plane? How is it a man survives a crash at Mach 10.3?
Well, it's reasonable that he ejected. I don't share this theory, by the way. I don't believe it as a death.
I would challenge anyone to drive at Mach 10.3, throw yourself out of a car and see how you survive, because the G's you'd be pulling at that speed whilst your plane is obliterated. Ask Google what Mach 10.3 is in miles per hour.
Hang on. Hey Siri, how fast is Mach 10 in miles per hour? So the answer is it's 7,417 miles per hour.
A child is killed at 30 miles an hour. You believe right now that he's doing 7,000 miles an hour? You believe that he survived at 7,000 miles an hour?
Yeah, but I also don't believe that this is a Hollywood film, because because I also don't believe that you can, as you say, outrun a helicopter and then walk onto a major army base totally unstopped. How they got over the fences that presumably were surrounding the outer perimeters of this armed base, where these extremely high valued important planes were parked. Appreciate they bombed the runway and all the planes on the runway, but they didn't bomb the outer perimeter fences that you'd have had to have negotiated. One assumes there was lots of people on the base who weren't standing right by planes and therefore wouldn't have found themselves subject to the explosions, and yet they just walked straight on, found themselves playing with the keys in the ignition.
That wasn't destroyed.
Yeah, that wasn't destroyed.
The only one, because everyone next to it has gone.
Yeah.
The runway's destroyed, but he manages to get it up over 2 gasoline
without
tankers.
Anyone going, did you leave the engine running on that plane? No. Who's driving the plane out? I've got no one on the list to say, and that felt a bit daft.
Okay, moving that forward then,
Yeah.
on your trajectory of Hollywood, because apparently now we've moved on to the fact that it's okay if it's Hollywood. If it's not a normal film, it's still okay to be living. He has survived a crash at 7,000 miles an hour. He has survived another crash, a helicopter gunship shooting at him, going onto an army base, getting a plane that didn't blow up
It's
on a
really
runway
Die Hard
blown
4,
up.
isn't it?
He then takes it above 2 petrol tankers, and then in a 40-year-old plane, he manages to take out 2 5th-generation planes.
Yeah.
It's a dream, people. Write in, let me know your thoughts, because that is literally taking creative license to the nth degree. Up until that point with all of the actual flying, that was realistic. But anyone who can survive, Princess Diana didn't survive, and she was doing 110.
Not to be a fanboy and not the character, those new 5th-generation planes were
Sexy.
mega to watch. I mean, they all are. Even the old ones that they were flying were cool to watch, but the manoeuvrability on those was just spectacular.
Well, I imagine they probably are in existence, and they're probably computerized to a point. I would say AI is probably controlling them as well as the pilot.
Oh, it's just
Human response times to do that, because it literally doesn't. What did you say? It turns and flips and spins at the same time.
well, in this one, it actually did a full stop and a spin all on the spot.
which is what I do when I'm being chased for my rent. I believe that they exist, but I can't believe for a minute when we've had the whole premise of the film is, and they were talking about the F-19 Tomahawks or whatever they're called. They were saying that those wouldn't go up against 5th generation. He has an F-13 40-year-old plane that goes up against 2 of them, and he destroys 1 in the first 5 seconds by just going and shooting it in the back and then disappearing. It's a dream.
It was a bit weird when they were doing the hand signals as going, I've got no idea. I appreciate it was probably for humorous levity,
Yeah.
but one assumes there's an international language for pilots. Like, point forward, that means go forward. Your thumb up is all good.
Yeah.
The middle finger is you've gone way too close. Back off. Get out of me tailpipe.
He showed he had a fist. He was like, ugh, I order.
You
I think
nicked my parking spot.
that was a funny part of the film.
There was a couple of funny bits. There was the Iceman scene. There was the alien cafe thing was funny.
Yeah.
I thought the failure to understand the gestures. I actually thought it was quite funny when he went and found Rooster after they crash landed and they were having a proper to-do.
Yes.
The ultimate slam was Rooster going, yeah, but you told me not to think.
Yeah.
I'd just do instinct, and
You got no retort to
instantly
that,
had zero retort.
Yeah.
There was real moments like that which were, I did laugh out loud, and I'm sure I was probably the only person, but I did.
I heard you. I mean, I don't know what the woman next to me felt, but throughout the whole film, you were on an emotional roller coaster.
I wasn't an emotional roller coaster.
I thought it was at Alton Towers for a minute.
Yeah, I felt bipolar going through this film. At one point I thought I was going to cry. Next one I was laughing my socks off.
Finger and ice cream.
Maybe it was the sugar.
It was the sugar.
I was on the ups and the downs
Yeah.
of the sugar.
It's gone through all your skin. The reason I've given it a few extra points is for things like the humour and soundtrack and dogfighting.
Okay.
If you think about the wider scheme of things, they are literally flying billion-dollar fighter planes. There's very little CGI.
Well, you say that, but Maverick seems to just let himself fly one whenever he wants to and do whatever he wants to. Then when he crashes them, there appears to be no repercussions for having done so.
That's true.
You see where your tax dollars go.
Blame Tom. I think the film to date's made over 500 million.
Wow.
So he's all right in it. He's like, you just crash as many planes as you want, Tom, it's fine. But I think the input from the Navy's been helpful because they've literally gone, have some F-19s, whatever they are.
You can have the old ones. We don't care about them. Crash them away.
Yeah, but
it's
ones
fine.
With no wings.
Yeah, that's why the storyline that's have them with the bangers. Like, we're not giving you the new ones.
Yeah, you can keep hold of them.
No chance. Was this a film that was needed, and was it a film that was wanted? Given how long it was since the first one, did it deliver? How does it rate as against the first one?
I think it's on a par with the first one. I don't think it was needed at all. I think it's just a classic case of rebooting franchises for the sake of it. There is always a danger. It's worked on this one.
Indiana Jones, it didn't.
Exactly. And I know you say Hollywood, but you have to consider that people are watching this film as a film, and yes, you take away some creative license, but when you've got luckily Tom Cruise doesn't look 60, but Indiana Jones is a classic example where your main lead actor is running away from a massive, in a Zimmer frame against a massive big boulder and spears and darts and stuff, and you're thinking, is that possible? You have to make the film believable in that respect. All you're doing is creating this weirdness, which is you're going 60-year-old pilot, and the Air Force have just let him come back in. What about
he
secrets?
didn't look 60 though, did he?
No, he didn't. I mean, he's obviously been pumping iron.
He looked about 45
steroids.
if a day.
Yeah, but even 45, not too sure what the retirement age is in the Navy, but...
Well, I'm a pilot and I'm 41 now, so, we can still do it in our 40s.
Okay, I'll take your word for that. I don't know whether you're living a dream.
I'm living a dream.
I don't know whether it was needed. What did you think?
I loved the film. I'm trying to establish whether or not I've just got the euphoria of having enjoyed a film on a gorgeous day with my pals, and that's just got me all excited, and I'm full of sugar.
I'm going with the sugar. I think you've gone and just had the sugar in your fingers.
It was brilliant, and I will still feel it was brilliant. I don't know, I feel I need to watch the first one again to gauge whether it was better or worse. It's definitely on a par with the first one. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I was massively worried because I didn't feel I needed it in my life, and I was worried that they were going to do an Indiana Jones 4, was it? What was the Crystal Skull
that was the one, yeah.
I thought they were going to do one of those.
Well, they're doing another one, aren't they?
What, another Top Gun?
No, another Indiana Jones.
Oh, right. Thank goodness for that. But yeah, I think they did it well. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I would happily watch it again. I suspect it would still get me emotionally watching it again.
I don't think it would, I think what you've done is what people do when they drink. So then when they have vodka and they do it through their eyeball because it absorbs into the bloodstream, I think you've got ice cream in your penis and that's taking the sugar straight into your bloodstream. There's only one way to test it, is if you get happy in the second half of the film without ice cream on your penis. That's the answer.
Well, I'll try tomorrow home. Just get some ice cream out, get it everywhere and see.
Don't use a spoon.
Watch a really bad film I ordinarily don't
Schindler's
like.
List.
No, definitely not Schindler's List, because that's a good film, but that makes you sad.
No, but I'm saying if you're happy.
Yeah, but I need to watch a bad film and see whether I come out going, that was really good.
Watch Indiana Jones for?
Let's watch that and see whether they come to the same conclusion.
If you come away laughing and happy, having put your penis in some ice cream, we know that it's a sugar rush. Just make sure you let people know in the household that you've done that, because I did that once and my mum wasn't happy. Apparently 2 scoops isn't good.
You double the dip in.
Double dicking.
Okay.
What's on your notes before we go?
I've got the end.
Right.
We've done the run. We've done the mission. We've done the escape. And then I've put end. What was the end? Oh, I guess...
What was the end?
What was the end?
Well, it was all the lovey-dovey stuff, wasn't it?
It was. You wonder whether he's going to settle down. He's have the relationship with what's-her-face.
This is why I thought it was a bit Vanilla Sky, a bit dream-esque, I think, and ethereal. If you think about it, in the context of a dream, it all makes sense. It's all the stuff that you'd want to happen. Everything happens nice and happy, and there's a little bit of questioning, for example, which is another thing we haven't touched upon, is Jennifer Connelly's character. We know they have a dalliance. Is there, and has there been any thought throughout the film that the girl, the daughter, is Tom Cruise's daughter?
Well, no, because it's unambiguous that she said her dad's married and living somewhere else.
Yeah, but is it the dad was with Jennifer Connelly at the time?
Yeah.
She might have been.
There's no implication that Tom Cruise was having a dip when he wasn't allowed, or that he was responsible for said spawning of child.
I just thought it lends itself to being potentially an outcome, in which case it meant the whole family would be back together, because she said, don't break her heart this time, which alluded to the fact that he'd broken her heart the last time.
Yeah, but I read that more as he keeps on going off, getting sent to Iraq, and they listed a load of places where he'd been. I read it that he keeps on either volunteering or pissing people off, and then getting sent off to Siberia to do a 12-month stint because he's upset someone, and every time he has to go away, she's left heartbroken because he's been sent away.
It did wrap up the whole thing at the end, where they're all working on the plane together, him and Goose's son, Mini Goose. And then there's a photograph of it.
And then the girl racks up who's gonna goose.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And then they changed the photograph, hadn't they? Because originally at the beginning of the movie, when he's working on the plane, it's him and Goose. At the end of the film, the photograph is...
Well, there's a picture of him and Goose, but a new picture of him and
Goose too.
Goose who?
Goose Jr. It's all very lovey-dovey.
What would you give it out of 10 then?
I would give it, and I'm kind of torn between 7 or 8, and I would give it an 8 simply because I liked the fact that they used real planes. They actually were doing the fighting in the planes. There wasn't CGI. It was all practically done, and he made it a caveat that if you're going to audition for the job, you're doing it in the plane, whether you like it or not. You could have cheated. Do you know what I mean? You could have done essentially Green Lantern and done the whole film on a green screen. That logistically is a massive undertaking. It's not a case of just turn up and fly a biplane. We're talking about...
It's not a green film. It's not a sustainability film, is it? There were some fossil fuels built in the filming of this movie.
A small island has perished.
Yeah.
Yeah. Greta Thunberg will not be happy with this film.
How dare you? People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. All you can talk about is fairy tales.
However, I gave it points for that. I thought the nostalgia point that you talked about at the very beginning is good. The music is good because it harks back to the original, so there's connectivity. The story is its own thing. I wasn't too sure about the Star Wars thing because it kind of reminded me of that, and it regurgitated a plot point that we've seen. And if that's the case, the question then becomes, did you need the movie or just watch A New Hope? So I'm going to go 8. I'm going to put my flag to the flagpole, and I'm going to go with an 8.
Okay. I'm going to go with 9. I'm allowing myself a point for the sugar. So I'm not going in at 10. I'm going to dial it down a notch, both for sugar and my pilot bias. I mean, this was a fabulous film. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thought it was brilliant. The ending bit was slightly unbelievable in Hollywood, but everything else felt like it was a good movie. And I know the breaking of rules and the crashing of planes is something that was slightly overlooked more than I probably would be in real life. But you can overlook that because it's a movie. It's supposed to be entertaining. It got a little bit Die Hard 4 where John McClane is flying pedal bikes into helicopters and blowing it up and all that sort of jazz where he was indestructible. It got a little bit like that at the end, which was a shame because I'd have been quite happy for Maverick to die. I don't like sad endings particularly. I'm very much a happy ever after type of person, but I'm happy to accept that if the story arc fits that, then you should do it. You should just go, that's how it should be.
It's a justifiable sacrifice.
It is. I think it would have been a really poignant finish to have Maverick die, to have Rooster bearing that burden, to have the lady devastated, to have him die doing the thing that he did, being as crazy as he'd always been. I think it would have been a nice little bookend. I don't feel I needed the survival thing, but hey, it was what it was, and I highly recommend it.
Go and see it.
Well, I say go see it. If you've listened to this, you don't need to know. You can save your money because you know what happens.
We'll take Pollard with you so you can see what he's like when he's got sugar in him.
If you buy me ice cream too.
Indeed. Thank you everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Tune in to others that we have online. See you next time.
All right, bye guys.
Excelsior!
Check out all our shows exclusively on thepodstation.co.uk.